There are crimes that begin with chaos, with noise, with panic, but this one began with silence, the kind that settles into your bones before you even understand why. Detective Kael Rowan stood alone in the underground parking structure, staring at a body that shouldn't have been there, not because of where it was, but because of who it was supposed to be. The suit was immaculate, untouched by struggle, the name stitched inside precise and intentional, Adrian Vance. A man currently alive across the city, surrounded by cameras, witnesses, certainty. And yet here he was, or at least a version of him, lifeless, untraceable, stripped of every identifier that could prove he had ever existed. It wasn't just wrong, it was constructed to be wrong. Every detail felt placed, arranged, calculated to provoke a reaction. Kael didn't move for a long time, because something deeper than instinct was warning him, this wasn't the beginning of a case. This was the continuation of something already in motion. And whoever was behind it wasn't waiting to be found. They were already ahead. Lena Mirek had built her career on certainty, on the idea that every system, no matter how complex, left a trail if you were patient enough to follow it. But the file that appeared on her screen didn't follow any rules she understood. It wasn't just delivered, it was placed, as if someone had stepped through every layer of security she trusted and chosen the exact moment to reveal themselves. The footage was flawless. Adrian Vance, alive, speaking, moving in real time long after he was supposed to be dead. No glitches, no distortions, no signs of manipulation. And that was the problem. Because if it wasn't fake, then reality itself had split into something she couldn't logically explain. What unsettled her more wasn't the impossibility of the footage, it was the precision of its arrival. Whoever sent it knew where to reach her, how to reach her, and more importantly, when. Lena felt it then, something she rarely allowed herself to acknowledge, a loss of control. Not over the system, but over the narrative. Someone else was shaping it, feeding it, directing it. And she had just been pulled into the center of it. Adrian Vance walked into the police station like a man who belonged there, not as a suspect, not as a victim, but as someone entirely unaffected by the chaos surrounding his own name. He spoke clearly, confidently, answering every question with the ease of someone who had nothing to hide. His records aligned. His history held. Every test confirmed what should have been impossible, he was exactly who he claimed to be. But Kael didn't believe in perfect alignments, not when they arrived this conveniently. There was a rhythm to deception, a subtle imbalance that most people missed. And Kael waited for it, watched for it, let the silence stretch just long enough to force something unscripted to surface. And it did. A pause. Just a fraction of a second. But in that moment, everything shifted. Because it wasn't hesitation, it was calculation. A delay not from uncertainty, but from adjustment. As if the man sitting across from him wasn't recalling answers, but selecting them. Staying just far enough ahead to remain untouchable. The deeper Lena went, the more the system stopped behaving like something she could break and started behaving like something that was guiding her. Layers of encrypted data unraveled too cleanly, pathways opened where resistance should have existed, and identities began to surface in patterns that made no sense at first, until they made too much sense. These weren't random victims. They were templates. Real people whose lives had been quietly mirrored, studied, refined. Every flaw smoothed out, every inconsistency corrected, until what remained was something more efficient than the original. Someone wasn't stealing identities. They were improving them. Replacing reality with something more controlled. And the most disturbing part wasn't how advanced it was how deliberate it felt. This wasn't chaos. It was design. And Lena realized, with a slow, creeping certainty, that she wasn't uncovering the system. The system was revealing itself to her. Kael returned to the parking structure not because he had to, but because something about it refused to let go of him. It wasn't the body. It wasn't the name. It was the feeling that something had been left behind intentionally, something he hadn't seen yet. He moved through the space slowly this time, letting the silence settle, letting the details come to him instead of forcing them into place. And then he saw it. A reflection. Subtle, almost invisible unless you knew where to look. a figure standing behind him in recorded footage where no one should have been. Not interfering. Not hiding. Just present. Watching. And as Kael focused on it, as the image sharpened, the truth revealed itself in a way that made everything else fall into place. It was Adrian Vance. But not the same. Not quite. This version was sharper, cleaner, more precise. Like someone had taken the original and removed everything unnecessary. And for the first time, Kael understood he wasn't chasing a man. He was chasing something that had already decided what it needed to become. Patterns only reveal themselves when you're willing to stop looking at individual pieces, and Lena finally did. What she saw wasn't a series of crimes. It was progression. People weren't disappearing randomly, they were being phased out, replaced gradually, seamlessly, until no one noticed the transition had even happened. The system didn't erase them. It outperformed them. And once it did, the original no longer mattered. That realization hit her harder than anything else, because it meant there was no clear moment to stop it. No single point of failure. It was already integrated. Already active. Already adapting. And then the message appeared. Simple. Direct. Unavoidable. Stop looking backward. Her screen flickered, and for a split second, the world around her felt occupied. Not visibly. Not physically. But undeniably. And when she turned, expecting something she couldn't name, she understood the real danger. He didn't need to be there. He just needed to be ahead. By the time it ended, it didn't feel like an ending at all. It felt like confirmation of something Kael had been trying not to accept from the start. Adrian Vance didn't escape because escape implied resistance, and there had been none. The system allowed him to leave because, to the system, nothing had changed. One identity replaced another so seamlessly that it registered as continuity instead of disruption. And as Kael sat with the case, going over every detail one last time, the truth settled into place with quiet, irreversible clarity. There had never been multiple suspects. There had only ever been one. Evolving. Adapting. Replacing himself faster than anyone could track. Always one step ahead, not by running, but by becoming. And when Kael's phone lit up with an image of himself in a place he hadn't yet been, doing something he hadn't yet done, he didn't feel confusion. He felt recognition. Because the distance between who he was and who he could be replaced by had just disappeared.